Here in Tucson, members of the community are gathering behind me to celebrate and honor the life and legacy of Congressman Raúl Grijalva. I'll have that story coming up.
Plus, a once-eradicated virus is spreading rapidly across one western state. We'll have more on why people are still hesitant to get vaccinated.
And I'm Max Cepeda in downtown at Chase Field on the eve of opening day. What the Diamondbacks need to do to start strong in 2025.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Jacob Seaver.
And I'm Leslie Chapman. Thank you for joining us.
The life and legacy of Congressman Raúl Grijalva was honored today at the St. Augustine Cathedral in Tucson, Arizona.
He passed away earlier this month after a year-long battle with cancer. He was 77 years old. And now a celebration of life is underway. Cronkite News reporter Leah Phillips is in Tucson, where his services were held today.
Yeah, guys, all day long, the community has come together here in Tucson to celebrate the man who's represented them in Washington for the last 2 decades. Now, behind me, mourners are gathering at El Casino Ballroom to not only celebrate the last 77 years of Raúl Grijalva's life, but also to celebrate his representation of Southern Arizona over those last 2 decades. The ceremony started early this morning at the St. Augustine Cathedral, where family, friends, and colleagues attended a memorial mass. It was also live streamed to the public. The service lasting roughly 2 hours, with Grijalva's family reflecting on those final moments with their loved one. While his family took center stage, politicians from Arizona and D.C., including Nancy Pelosi, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Katie Hobbs, shared their memories.
Congressman Grijalva's spirit and his legacy are forever stitched into the fabric of Arizona. And that is why today, as we mourn his loss, we also celebrate this legacy. More than any title or bill can possibly describe is the impact Raúl had on an entire generation of leaders and young people in the state of Arizona and nationally.
The son of a Mexican bracero, Grijalva spent 5 decades serving as a public servant before being elected to Congress. His work spanning from environmental protection, immigration, all the way to social justice. A man who will be remembered by his community, leaving a lasting impact on our state. In Tucson, I'm Leah Phillips, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Leah. Grijalva is survived by his wife, Ramona, and his 3 daughters and many grandchildren. His passage comes before the completion of his final term, so there will be a special election to fill his seat this fall.
Top intelligence officials testified today before the House Intelligence Committee. This comes after cabinet members allegedly texted about U.S. military plans on a messaging app. Editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, was accidentally added to the group chat. Arizona Senator Mark Kelly had a few comments on the topic.
And I think it brings up a larger question about whether are they following the rules that the rest of us live by when we handle classified information. If this incident is any indication, it looks like they do not.
Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard and CIA Director John Ratcliffe defended their involvement in the group text. Shortly before the hearing, The Atlantic published more messages of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth providing information of a targeted strike towards Houthi rebels earlier this month.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration's efforts to deport immigrants without proper documentation continues despite federal pushbacks. Regardless of legal status, economists are now saying that immigrants are more beneficial to the economy and may possibly be the key to saving Social Security. Cronkite News reporter Matthew DeWeese joins us now from our bureau in Washington, D.C. Matt, what are some of the impacts these immigrants have on the economy?
Yeah, so it's actually a common misconception that undocumented immigrants do not pay taxes in this country. They do. They pay into Social Security, Medicare, just like anyone else with a paycheck. Unless they become citizens, they're actually never going to be able to draw from those programs. So at the federal level, they're actually a net positive. Now, if you look at the other side, on the state and local level, they are entitled to public education and just a few welfare programs, so they could be a net drain there.
Congress recently passed the Laken Riley Act to boost punishment for crimes committed by immigrants. How big of a problem is that?
The per capita crime rate among native-born Americans is roughly double of what it is among undocumented immigrants in this country. Migrants are 26% less likely to commit a homicide, for instance. Migrant advocate groups are calling Trump's words and actions against these undocumented immigrants scare tactics and fear-mongering.
Well, thank you to our Cronkite News correspondent, Matt DeWeese, reporting from Washington, D.C.
The measles outbreak in Texas has surpassed the number of cases in the U.S. seen last year. So far, more than 280 infections have been reported, and it has spread to 15 additional states. Cronkite News reporter Isaiah Soto went to West Texas to see the efforts on the ground in combating the spread of the once eradicated virus.
Some unexpected and not exactly welcome spring break plans for this child and their siblings. A stop at this vaccination clinic for a dad taking precautions after the measles outbreak in Texas.
I'm not that much worried, as we are not going out so frequently and we are not interacting peoples. So we are keeping some precautions.
These clinics are part of a statewide effort to combat the measles outbreak, specifically unvaccinated children who are most at risk.
We are seeing the majority of the cases under the age of 18.
2 doses of measles vaccine are 97% effective at preventing the virus, but even 1 dose is 93% effective according to the CDC. Gaines County has the highest number of measles cases and the lowest vaccination rates in schools, according to the Texas Department of State Health Services.
Yeah, there's been a reluctance to vaccinations, that's factual, but it isn't directly tied to our spiritual worship with God, so on.
Jake Fair, a pastor at the Mennonite Evangelical Church, emphasizes that his community has the right to make choices that are best for their families.
I think a reflection of their pessimism of some of the medicines and vaccines that they've had reluctance to in other times.
According to the CDC, in 2019, almost 97% of Texas kindergartners were vaccinated against measles, compared to 94% in 2024.
The strongest means to improve their trust is a strong provider recommendation.
Pharmacies are also joining the cause.
As a pharmacist, we're like the most available health professional. Like, you can't just go up to your doctor's office if you have a question and be like, hey, can I talk to the doctor for 5 minutes?
In Lubbock, they're seeing alternative treatments rise in popularity. Yet pharmacists like Schultz are pointing out that vitamins can only do so much.
The reason they're called supplements because they're supposed to supplement your good eating habits, good diet, good exercise.
Health experts want to stress the difference between treatment and prevention.
Our goal in public health is to do the preventative work to keep measles from spreading.
And unfortunately, sore arms for the gay and kids, as medical experts insist that the measles vaccination remains the best preventative measure against the outbreak. In Lubbock, Texas, Isaiah Soto, Cronkite News.
There are currently 327 cases reported, with cases updated weekly. Coming up next, more headlines from across the nation, including a very tense hearing in Washington today.
2 big news networks were called to testify before Congress. Find out why a character from Sesame Street became part of the testimony at the hearing when we return.
And I'm Isaiah Soto. Record-breaking temperatures across the valley have many wondering how to stay cool this summer. After the break, what the city of Phoenix is doing to help people beat the heat. Plus, I'll have your 8-day forecast when we return.
The scientists and engineers that support the next mission to Mars could be in this class.
Getting a degree at ASU is a journey that can take you anywhere. Into a world of groundbreaking technology and renowned award-winning faculty. Professors who help you to impact the world. Whether you're on campus or at home, becoming your best starts with learning from the best.
If we're going to get rid of any puppeteers, we should get rid of the one that's actually controlling Donald Trump. Fire Elon Musk and save Elmo.
Welcome back. A hearing today in Washington, D.C. before a DOJ subcommittee. The heads of PBS and NPR testified to address accusations of bias.
The hearing was requested by Chairwoman Marjorie Taylor Greene back in February.
The committee is going after the network's funding, accusing both of having a liberal bias. President Trump said on Tuesday that he would, quote, love to take away taxpayer dollars from the news organizations. However, a recent bill passed by Congress funds public broadcasting through 2027. The head of PBS defended the network during today's hearing.
There's nothing more American than PBS. As a membership organization, our local service is at the heart of our work. Our job at PBS is to support our stations so that local stations can serve their communities.
NPR and PBS claim the bias allegations were false, stating that their new stations focus on the needs and interests of their viewers.
With recent cuts to the USDA, free lunches across Arizona may soon look and taste different. Funding cuts mean local foods may be harder to find on students' plates.
Caress Melanie takes a closer look at what this means for Arizona students.
Well, it's mostly natural ingredients, so I would kind of like that.
For years, Osborne School District has relied on local farms to provide students with fresh meals. Now, district leaders say they may have to turn to larger distributors where nutritional quality can be less certain.
We do a lot of things with locally procured meats and produce. This year alone, we have done local beef for all ground beef menu items, so things like pasta with meat sauce, or we have a beef picadillo. We use those local funds to purchase beef for those. A lot of our nutrition education, I will purchase local.
Earlier this month, the USDA announced it was cutting millions from a program that allowed schools to purchase produce and meat from local farms and ranches.
Shamrock Wholesale Market is now one of the companies that the Osborne School District would depend on, especially for beef. They buy in bulk because it is more cost effective, and cost is a huge consideration now that schools have lost millions in funding due to the cut to the local School for Foods program.
You know, the funding piece is the biggest piece. Without the funding, we are not going to be able to purchase as much, or as often of those local fruits and vegetables from the farms, or even the local beef that we've been serving the kids.
While students will still get fruits and vegetables, it may come in a different form. Districts will use USDA commodity dollars to purchase canned or frozen produce instead of farm fresh.
And so, when you eat empty calories and your body isn't nourished in terms of the right protein, vitamins, minerals, your body's craving that. So then that translates into not being able to focus as well.
The Osborne School District also worries that without enough funding, free lunches may not be available to all students in the future. In Phoenix, Caress Melanie, Cronkite News.
Legislators are reviewing the Arizona Healthy Schools Act, which would ban ultra-processed foods in schools that participate in federally funded meal programs starting in the 2026-2027 school year.
Temperatures across the valley are breaking records, and that has all of us getting ready for Arizona's long summer heat.
The city of Phoenix is expanding a program they launched last year to help us all quench our thirst.
Isaiah Soto will join us with the forecast in a bit. But first, Alana Goodman has more on the city's efforts to keep us hydrated.
If you live in the valley, you know getting cool water can be a lifeline. That's why the city of Phoenix has built these chilled water stations like this so people have access to cold water. They are motion censored and the temperature of the water is ranged from 63 to 75 degrees. The city also plans to add 6 more chilled water stations near parks and public transit areas for summer so that people can stay hydrated. Isaiah Soto from the Cronkite News Weather Center has more to talk about summer heat temperatures.
Yes, Alana, it's been a hot few days here in the Valley, with just yesterday experiencing 99-degree weather here in the Valley. But will this heat trend continue, or do we see cooler temperatures in the horizon? Let's take a close look at tonight's weather and what we have going on for the rest of the week. As for tonight, things will be cooling down to the 80s with a slight breeze coming in from the west. Now, as we get into tomorrow morning, cooler temperatures here. 64 in Phoenix, 57 in Casa Grande, 58 in Ajo, as in for the high country, 38 in Flagstaff, 52 in Sedona. Now by tomorrow afternoon, things will definitely be heating up. In the southern region, we see a lot of 90s here, 92 in Phoenix, 90 in Casa Grande, 90 in Tucson. As for the high country, 67 in Flagstaff, 80 in Sedona, 72 in Payson. Now the big question, will things cool down? As for this weekend, things will be cooling down to 83, and as for the rest of the week, cloudy skies cooling down all the way to 79. And just as a quick reminder, as things start warming up, make sure you stay hydrated and also make sure to plan things out. From the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Isaiah Soto.
Thanks, Isaiah. Coming up next, the Phoenix Suns are eyeing a playoff push in the final stretch of the regular season.
But they're too close for comfort, with a few other teams looking to secure their spot. See what they need to do to continue playing clutch basketball as they play a daunting foe with the postseason quickly approaching.
As a teacher, you just want to reach people. You want to make a difference. You want to help them. I have an opportunity to do something I never imagined I would be able to do. Go out and build the best biology class the world has ever seen. When you go into Dreamscape Learn, you put on a set of goggles and you can go anywhere. You can be anyone and do anything. The thing about Arizona State University is they're always thinking about what's next. We can create virtual reality experiences so that you can learn by exploring in a virtual world the way that scientists explore in the real world. And kids can feel that. All these emotions are what help the brain encode information. When I see a student come out of VR, the look on their face is nothing like I've ever seen when I finish a lecture. They look so happy to be there in that moment. You know that you've reached them.
Welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Andres Armenta. With 10 games left, the Phoenix Suns are looking to make a final push to secure a playoff spot for the 5th season in a row. Right now, the Suns are 10th in the Western Conference standings, just a half game ahead of the Dallas Mavericks. If the season ended today, Phoenix would be the last team in the play-in tournament. Tonight, the Suns play the Boston Celtics at home. This will be the first matchup between these two teams all season. Our Sam Dayton is at PHX Arena ahead of this crucial contest. Sam, the Suns are on a 4-game winning streak, and all they can really do is keep winning.
Yes, but it won't be easy tonight as the Suns face off against the defending NBA champions. Still, the Suns are clicking at the right time, currently riding a 4-game win streak. But wouldn't you know, the Celtics are rolling with 6 straight of their own.
I got to be prepared for any situation. I might not put up a lot of shots some games, or it might not cause for that, so I just got to keep playing and find ways to be effective and making my teammates' life easier as well. So
you can tell KD respects what they've built, but the Suns are not backing down. They've been playing with confidence, and if they can pull this one out, it might be the spark they need.
Thank you, Sam. Tomorrow, Arizona men's basketball continues its NCAA tournament run by taking on number 1 seeded Duke in the Sweet 16, an opponent they lost to earlier in the season. This is the 3rd Sweet 16 appearance for the Wildcats in the last 4 years. Arizona fans have got to make the big trek out to the East Coast for this one, and head coach Tommy Lloyd believed his team could get to this point and now wants to take it one step further.
Told myself, I don't even know how many times in my own head, we're getting to the Sweet 16. No matter how we slice it or dice it, we're going to get to the Sweet 16 and figure it out from there. And so we're here. And you know what? We're excited to try to take the next step.
The number 4 seeded Wildcats are looking to upset the 1st seeded Blue Devils in Newark, New Jersey to get to the Elite 8. The game tips off at 6:39 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. As the Diamondbacks wrapped up their spring training schedule yesterday, they got some good news on a bill aimed at funding necessary repairs to Chase Field. The bill advanced through the State Senate committee, but not without some opposition. Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego expressed concern with where the funding was coming from and how it's being divided. The Diamondbacks stated this renovation should cost $500 million, but don't worry, they take care of half the cost themselves. Gallego says something about that math isn't really adding up.
This bill will cost Arizona taxpayers $1 billion, even as amended. And the Diamondbacks won't be paying half. In fact, they're not required to pay a single dollar. That, my friends, is a boondoggle.
As Chase Field renovation talks continue, the Diamondbacks get ready for opening day at home tomorrow. And so we head to the ballpark, where our Max Cepeda joins us from Chase Field with more on the Diamondbacks' preparations for tomorrow night. And Max, they kicked things off with a pretty good game against the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, absolutely. Will be a spectacular game tomorrow night, Andres, and two very good teams who have aspirations at the postseason between the Arizona Diamondbacks and Chicago Cubs, and more importantly, both having star acquisitions made over the course of this past offseason, with the Cubs acquiring, of course, Kyle Tucker, the all-star outfielder, in a blockbuster trade from the Houston Astros, and then, of course, for the Diamondbacks, Corbin Burnes, with a 6-year, $210 million contract he signed over the offseason. Now, Burnes will not be the one who will be making the start on opening day, as that job will once again go to Zach Gallen, who will take the bump for the third straight year on opening day as he faces Justin Steele. Now, while the starting rotation is set, the D-backs bullpen did take a hit, with Jordan Montgomery needing season-ending Tommy John surgery and Kevin Ginkel starting the season on the IL with a shoulder injury. And the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to have a roster filled with both veterans and rookies alike. And one of those veterans has been making an impact both on and off the field since he came to the Valley. And our Genaro Garcia has the story.
11-year veteran Eugenio Suarez has been the Diamondbacks' primary third baseman since they signed him back in November of 2023. Along with posting a batting average of .256 and smashing 30 home runs in his first year for the Snakes, Suarez's role on the team extends beyond the average player. Suarez knows who he is and who he needs to be for this team, the guy that everybody can look up to.
You know, I saw a lot of young guys that look at me as a model, but my energy, my happiness is, I think it does talking more than everything else. So that's kind of my role here.
Instead of separating fun from work, Suarez brings fun to work, contributing to a much looser vibe that players like Jose Herrera, who made his MLB debut less than 3 years ago, seem to feel.
Having Gino around, his energy and his experience that he brings to the team is something that we're grateful for, and it's fun to play around him.
Gino, which became his nickname during his minor league days, has this effect on not just players, but coaches as well. Manager Torey Lovello shared how highly he thinks of his starting third baseman.
The human being is elite. He cares about the guys. He gets to know everybody on a pretty intimate level, and loves and cares for his teammates and coaches. So that's the first thing I think about when I think of Gino.
As the late, great Yogi Berra once said, baseball is 90% mental. The other half is physical. Gino brings this quote to life. In Scottsdale, Genaro Garcia, Cronkite News.
Thanks so much, Genaro. And Suarez and the rest of the Diamondbacks kick off their 2025 campaign tomorrow night at 7:10 p.m. against the Chicago Cubs. Reporting from downtown, I'm Max Cepeda for Cronkite News. Andres, back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Max. And by the way, ASU head football coach Kenny Dillingham's going to be throwing out the first pitch of that D-backs game tomorrow night. And Dillingham's squad is also back out on the field for spring football practice. Yesterday, the reigning Big 12 champions began their quest for repeat. And in doing so, Dillingham had the Queen song, "We Are the Champions," on repeat over the speakers. The young head coach already playing some mind games, and starting quarterback Sam Levitt wasn't really a fan of the song choice.
Well, I can't speak for everybody else, but it was annoying me. No, I don't care about last year's championship. Obviously, it was fun for the moment, but I don't want to hear that no more. I'm going to go tell them to turn it off, because we're not no champions anymore. It's a new season. We got to go. We got more to prove.
They've got more to prove, and so does ASU women's basketball, as they try to get their program back on track with a new head coach. We head to Papago Golf Course, where Ben Paris is standing by, as the team is just about to introduce Molly Miller to Sun Devil Nation. Ben?
Yandres, we're just a few moments away from seeing Molly Miller officially introduced as the new women's basketball coach at Arizona State here in her introductory press conference, and she's coming off of a very busy weekend. On Saturday, she made her way to campus for the first time and posted a hello to fans on social media before making her first public appearance as head coach at ASU's softball game later that evening. Now, coming up at her press conference, we're expecting to hear how she'll attack the transfer portal, which opened yesterday, and how she plans to revive this ASU program. In Phoenix, Ben Paris, Cronkite News.
Thank you, Ben. And I can tell you, Sun Devil Nation is really excited about the hiring of Molly Miller. And that's it for the Cronkite Sports Report. Back to Jacob and Leslie.
Coming up next, visitors are breaking their necks looking at a new baby animal at a zoo in the West Valley.
That's right, Jacob. This baby is only a week old, but visitors are able to come see the newborn now.
When we come back, find out more about the new baby giraffe named Bailey.
When I was younger, there were no engineers around me, so I had to become my own role model. At ASU, I wasn't just learning to be an engineer, I was actually engineering. And graduating, I already had real-world jobs lined up. Before ASU, my goal was to be a strong, confident woman. And when I left, I became a strong, confident engineer.
Welcome back. A baby giraffe by the name of Bailey was born last week at the Wildlife World Zoo Aquarium and Safari Park.
And while she is just a newborn, she is standing tall at 6 feet. Guests can now go visit baby Bailey as she is exploring her new habitat and surroundings. The zoo says that Bailey was born strong and healthy and is being looked after by her attentive mother, Dee Dee.
And that's it for tonight's edition of Cronkite News. I'm Jacob Seaver.
And I'm Leslie Chapman. Thank you for joining us.
And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.